The night lay waste to all we'd given, but honestly, you've gotta know that this ain't living, but we could run from Elysium and let it burn, let it burn. You've gotta know that nothing lasts forever. I can't believe myself. I never thought that this would be our end, but it's nothing new. And my lover's honesty, I can push it back down if I have to, if you want me to, 'cause we can run. Stars they fall all for you. So tell me now, what's left to lose if we run?
Like a Hellcat.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the second week of the EGL Waveline. This is your host Xernian. Today I am joined by Clutch, Matt Pizza, and Sultan. So Matt Pizza, you are on the EGL Waveline for the first time, so you should probably introduce yourself.
Uh, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt Pizza, and yeah, I'm mostly stuck in the EDL division, but today I was promoted. I was given a chance by the big boss himself, just a REM
Yeah.
supporter, to be here. So hopefully you guys like me and want me around more.
Matt Pizza's whole personality just revolves around voting for the underdogs and then laughing at the rest of us when he gets it right or wrong. So
hmm
that's yeah, but otherwise we do have our returning members Clutch, so obviously the owner of Elemental League, and our good friend Sultan, who is one of the admins for EGL. So we're just gonna get right into it. So we're first gonna look at what happened week 1. So week 1 we had Hyperion Origin versus VBU Krypton, and Hyperion walked out with a 2-0, very clean, fast series by them. And then the second series was the stream series. So that was Big Duck Entourage Gold versus Abyssal Sapphire. It was a kind of a banger stream, honestly. Abyssal won the first game, then Big Duck Entourage won the second game, and then Abyssal, I believed in them. They won the third game, so that was a 2-1 for Abyssal Sapphire. And then the third series, which was a rescheduled game, which was Hawkthorn Esports versus Monkeys Rising. And Hawkthorn went 2-1. And I mean, I kind of took a glance at that series. It was definitely, I mean, it was a bloody series, that's what I can say. Um, and then Burger Flip, so that was Flippa United versus Revolution Gold. And Revolution pulled out a nice clean 2-0. So first of all, we'll start from the top. Clutch, Hyperion Origin versus VBU Krypton. You believed in VBU Krypton week 1. So what happened?
Well, I said that I wanted to look at the solo lanes for both teams because I thought they were going to be the most important in this series. Now, bot lane was like pretty even, I'd say. I think both bot lanes played very well. But the solo lanes is when stuff kind of went bad. Dracana played an insane game for the side of Hyperion Gaming. This guy went 22 and 15, 17.5 KDA for himself in the series, which is pretty impressive. And that doesn't even count his damage per minute, which was 888. So this guy's putting up some pretty big numbers in the league already. He definitely showed against Socks and Thighs that he is someone that you need to be careful for played very well. And then another player I do want to point out, the Rune Mage in the top lane, also played very solid for his team. Has an average of 19.5 CS diff at 10, that's pretty impressive. Also, an 8.47 CS per minute average. This guy's really good. I think their solo laners on the team for Hyperion Origin and Dracana and the Rune Mage are what that make this team special. I said Hyperion Origin could be one of those teams to crack the top 3, and with the 2-0 win, obviously they probably cracked the top 3 in the league now.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it was a really, really kind of insane series. Like you said, so much domination we saw early just in week 1. And Matt Pizza, I think you didn't actually, yeah, you didn't vote for anyone, but if you did vote, would you have picked Hyperion or VBU?
I think I honestly would have picked VBU Krypton just because, VBU. I'm a VBU supporter, but it was unfortunate to see VBU kind of lose 2-0. Game 1, it was just really unfortunate what happened, right? Like we had the solo laners just gap VBU solo laners, and then we also had game 2 VBU's jungler DC. So it was a 4v5. So it was just an unfortunate series for the side of VBU, but like a well played series from the side of Hyperion.
Yeah, and like you said, it was a really clean series. And I remember when I talked about the series last week, because we were kind of comparing the bot lanes. We had Toxin and Attila, I think, and we were just like
Mhm.
looking at plat player versus a silver player. And I'm not gonna flex, but I'm gonna flex. I got 3 of these 4 series perfectly down to the games. The only series I got wrong was the Hawkthorn versus Monkeys Rising series. I guess 2-0 for Hawkthorn. Instead it's a 2-1. So I don't know, I'm, kind of cracked on the predictions. And that's all my luck. So I think this week it's gonna go down the hole and I'm just gonna get all of them wrong. I'm putting on my clutch cosplay this week.
Yeah, we don't talk about
Oh,
last week.
My clutch
Not a good
cosplay.
look.
Not a good look indeed. So, Sultan, last but not least, what did you think of this first series?
Well, so I guessed the game right. I think
Yeah,
I
you
said
guessed
2-1
2
for
1 Hyperion.
Hyperion.
Yes.
Well, my take was more of a hot take. I thought like in my opinion VBU has like more better individual players, at least in the bot lane, but it showed that especially like Rune Mage almost like Flame Horizoning in the top lane. Like Dracana having a incredible series. And the bot lane, at least like being able to keep their ground against the platinum bot lane of VBU with like Samurai and Toxin, and like not letting them get ahead so that their soul lanes would be able to just like smash the other side of the top side of the VBU. So yeah, well, I'm happy that Hyperion won, and I at least like got one match because some of the other hot takes were not too lucky that week.
They were
So
just that hot of takes.
yeah.
So, obviously, the second series was the streamed match. And, Clutch, I know you were watching the whole series on
Mhm.
stream. So, what
Yeah.
did you think of that series?
Um, yeah, I mean, all the games were super close. Both these teams were back and forth. I mean, if you replay the series, any team can take it. I still think these teams are evenly matched. I mean, Abyssal did take the win, so yes, they are. When I wrote the power rankings, they were rated higher. Um, and that mid matchup was a banger. James Moriarty versus Poober, that was insane. Both mids were styling in that series. And one thing I'll point out for BDE before I praise Abyssal is that when Poober and Psych played, game 1, it was Psych going in. He was going in by himself. He was like, all right, I'm the one man show. I'm gonna make the plays. And everyone was kind of like, what are you doing? Game 2, Poober's like, you know what, Psych? I'm buying in. I see what you're doing and I like it. Game 2, Poober and Psych on the same page going aggressive, and it looked clean. It looked insane. These guys were on the same wavelength, all right? They were going all in together. They look great. Obviously, I think it's a different roster this week, so I don't think we're gonna have the same players playing, but it looked good. And for the side of Abyssal, I think James Moriarty was definitely the star of the show. This guy was unreal in the mid lane. Put up 22 kills in game in the series, the most on his team by a lot. And also had above 800 damage per minute. Like this guy definitely was their carry. Played a lot of solid champions in the mid lane. I believe he played Corki and like
Yeah,
popped off. That was really
Corky
good.
and like, oh my god, the damage that this
Yeah,
guy was
he
putting out on
was.
Corky was like,
Yeah,
just, oh my god.
he definitely was the MVP, I think, for that series. It's not to say the rest of his team didn't play very well. I think the rest of his team played decent. But yeah, James Moriarty, definitely the star of the show. Insane player. I can't wait to see more of him. Abyssal, they look good. They got a win, and I can't wait to see what this team's going to bring to the table this week.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And Matt Pizza, you also, I think, watched most of the series.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, go
Yeah.
ahead.
uh so okay, I'll just say this. If I was on EGL last week, I probably would have said Abyssal only because of how only because Clutch here likes to talk about how good Psych is. So I'm like, you know what? I want to see an upset. You know me. So I was like, I'm
You
gonna
know
go
me.
for Abyssal. So I think but yeah, when I watch a game, it was like Clutch said, game one, or not Poober, Psych was just a one man show. He was kinda like, guys, I'm going in, I'm just shy, I'm going in. And then game two, Poober was like, you know what? I wanna help along. I wanna help him. And then like the top mid synergy we saw from the side of BD, that was really cool. That was really clean, right? For like these two players were insane. And unfortunately it is a different roster. So it's gonna it'll be interesting to see how this new roster works. But like Clutch said, it was really fun watching Psych and Pooper just go in.
Yeah, we saw Psych with like so few resources and he was still like pulling himself ahead. Like just through his own, gameplay. And it was like, man, if I feel like if Psych had just been given like a few more resources or if he wasn't on like Warden duty in the third game, I
Mm-hmm.
think, we could have just seen Psych 1v9 the whole game and the whole series. And last but not least, we have Sultan. So, Sultan, you did say BDE 2-1 for this series. So, what do you think was the biggest
Oh.
difference?
Well, it's not that their ADC played bad, but I like from the roster sheet I was expecting Riv to play. And like especially the last game that they lost, it like the gold was really even. The only gold gap was the four uh just Leo he wasn't like able to show up that like 1v9 Vayne performance that you would normally expect, although he had the kills. And James Moriarty was like playing good, so I thought Riv, if he was playing, he would have had more impact on the game. Maybe took some of that pressure of Psych, the carry pressure, like, oh, I have to win the game for the team.
Yeah, I
That was
mean,
that wasn't my expectation.
yeah, I mean, like Leo Diff was their e-sub for the week. I do believe they're e-subbing him again this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
Like
I remember when we first saw the Vayne locked in, Packapal and Colonel were just like, "What in the world is this Vayne pick? We're
yeah,
putting so much trust into our e-sub,"
yeah.
and
Like they had Ivern and like Morgana. It was like they had like Ornn. It was basically just set up for Vayne and Corki to like basically, oh, our whole team is supporting us. We need to win the fights for them, but they were not really able to play as good. Like there was like an AP Malphite even like in the game. Though I guess he was just one shotting them over and over again. So
yeah, and then there was this one play towards a dragon fight where Gollum, he got like a huge 3-man Malphite ulti into a bush they all
yeah,
clumped into, and it just like, oh, that just won the fight and just snowballed into the
yeah,
game, and it was
yeah.
pretty
The
crazy for the third game.
no, the problem was like they just there was just like the fact that they had like specific carries and like if you kill Wayne or like Corky, BD side cannot win the game. So Gollum was like, oh, let me just go AP Malphite, one shot all of them because my champion is so balanced. I can one shot people with one button. So he just went to the AP Malphite with Dark Harvest, and then like it just didn't even matter. Like James Moriarty was like free hitting the people. all the time with that 18k gold, which was like the mid lane gold gap was basically the almost what decided the game because like
Yeah.
I think towards the end of the game it was like only a 2k gold diff.
I am excited to see how BDE will play again with Leo Diff after, like a week under their belt with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So the third match that we're going to look at is Hawkthorn Esports versus Monkeys Rising. So Monkeys Rising, I think, yeah, they actually did win the second game of that series. Matt Pizza, can you correct me if I'm wrong?
I do believe it is the second
Yeah,
game.
I think it was Hawkthorn game 1, Monkeys Rising game 2, and then Hawkthorn game 3. I think that's what it
Yeah.
was. Or was it Monkeys Rising game 1? I mean, if Zell
I
was
think
here,
I
he
think it
could
was game
confirm.
1.
Yeah, it was game 1, I think. Yeah, Zell is yelling at me in Twitch chat now. Yeah, it was Monkeys Rising game 1. I Okay, so Matt Peets and I were kind of watching this game on the sidelines, and this, like, okay, so Hawkthorn Esports, like, this team, like, oh my goodness, are they aggressive. Like, it was tower dive after tower dive after tower dive. Like, these people were just going in. Like, they did not have a stop button. It was just go, 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 go. And, I kind of wish we were able to stream that series too, because that was, pretty entertaining. And I think that this kind of playstyle can take you very, very far. Like, especially in a competitive scenario. Like, when you're playing, like, the LPL and you're just going in and you're making, like, you're giving so little space for your opponents to react and punish these kind of plays. Like, if you can execute them well, then, that's kind of why my money's on Hawkthorn going far in EGL. So, Matt Pizza, as someone who also watched this series, what are your thoughts?
Like when we watched it, I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be just like any other team, right? It's gonna be a slower paced game, or just it's like comp, right? Comp is generally a more slower paced game. No, we see this bot lane just tower diving with their jungle. They're going balls to the wall. They're just sending it. We have the jungler flashing in, getting the stun. The Caitlyn, all right. This is the one thing that like was stuck in my memory. The Caitlyn just gale forced forward. He
True.
never just gale forced away. No, he just gale forcing forward. He did not care about the enemy team. He was like vibing out in his own world. And like watching this bot lane play, it was really fun. It was really interesting. Like it's not the slower paced comp gameplay you see. This team likes to fight. And like you said, it's a really interesting playstyle that can take you far. But it also has its downsides, right? Like they did lose game one to Monkeys Rising, but they were able to get their things sorted for games two and three. So I
Yeah.
think this week's matchup, right, we'll be streaming Hawkturn versus Rev. So that'll be a matchup I'd want to. I That's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, and I think like this series also showed what kind of potential is there for the Monkeys Rising roster. Like, in week 1 in EDL, the almost identical roster had a bit of a tough time against Unlucky. And it's just like, wow, you guys got too owed, you guys look kind of weak coming in, but it's like you're seeing this like almost the exact same roster being able to pull a game off of Hawkthorn, and they were like really close games in a couple of them, and they were like, putting up a really good fight. So I do think the Monkeys Rising roster is one I want to keep my eyes on. Like, I just think that throughout this season, as they play through EDL and EGL, this team will be able to just like, find like the perfect strategy that works for them and be able to just do well and continue to get better throughout the season. But Clutch, you said 2-0 for this series. I mean, you were close, you got the right winner.
Yeah, I mean, I did say 2-0. I think we all said 2-0, no?
Yep, I think we did all say 2-0.
Because I was like, I'm pretty sure we all did. But one thing I will say, yeah, Hawkthorn Esports, they're the LPL team of this league. They will fight you over literally anything. The Scuttle Crab's up in the bot lane. It's 3 minutes. You better expect double TPs coming down because these people will fight for the Scuttle Crab. They do not care where the fight is. They're taking it to you. And if you're not ready to fight them or you're not prepared, they will beat you. Like they'll just slam you. So preparing against Hawkthorn is a different beast in itself that they don't play the same style that I think most of the teams in this league do play, which is like the slow and like calculated, like take it slower, take the 90-10 play. No, Hawkthorne goes for the 60-40. They see anything that favors them, they're going for it. And one player I do want to point out, their ADC counters, dude, this guy has some ridiculous stats after week 1. He popped 30 kills, which is, I mean, it was a 3-game series, so still impressive though to get 30 kills. He's 70% KP as an ADC, and that's the most on his team. So clearly, Hawkthorne likes to play around their ADC counters. And I'm still railing off more stats here. His XP diff at 10 as an ADC is 840. He's an ADC. Like, that's pretty good for an ADC. Now, I don't know if it's because Maddie roams a lot, their support, or that if that's just straight up based off of laning. But that is insane. And his last stat that I think is the most impressive, like in the league, his damage per minute is 1,090. This guy puts up 1,090 damage a minute. That's like insane. It's a 20-minute game. This guy's doing almost 22k damage. Like, he is aggressive and he will fight you. So counters, definitely my player to watch. I think this guy can be a really good player. He has insane stats already. And for Monkeys Rising, obviously they did lose, but they got 2-1, and they didn't look too bad. I think they had a decent series. I think their bot lane, Yoked and Zell, actually exceeded expectations in the series. Obviously, counters was kind of smurfing, but I still think their bot lane did pretty solid. And for a team that there's not really many expectations coming in. I think that Monkeys Rising can actually sneak into the playoffs as that like last seed team, 6th, maybe 5th. But yeah, I think Monkeys Rising have a lot of potential, and the fact that they took a game off of Hawkthorne Esports, who were kind of like the number 1 team coming in, that's huge for them. And we'll see how they're going to do this week, if they will be able to take the series.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. And Sultan, you also guessed, I mean, you're in the crowd of the 2-0 for Hawkthorne. So was there anything that took you by surprise in
Mm,
the series?
well, like also like while we were ending the stream, you asked like who would be our underdog team, and I said MIT, and that is purely because these guys obviously know how to play the game. If you give them the space to do what they want to do or like what they planned, they're gonna like pull some upsets over like maybe even teams like Hawkthorne. Although Hawkthorne was like really dominant, I think they didn't even give a single objective. Maybe like, if I don't remember wrong, 1 Drake in the 2 games that they lost, 2 games that they won. Like, Monkeys were not able to do a lot, but in the game that Monkeys won, they were taking the Drakes, they were controlling the objectives, they were like just taking the turrets. It was like pretty I was more impressed with how Monkeys played rather than Hawkthorne, because Hawkthorne was already like a team expected to be like the top 2 at least, if not the top seed in this gold league. So that was like pretty impressive to see Monkeys kind of trying to fight against a top dog in the league. But when it comes to Hawkthorne, like Arth, in where he played Diana, this guy went 20-5, like just absolutely like a monster in the jungle. So he played really good next to counters. And the soul lanes, they were not as impressive as counters and Arth, but they still managed to do really good against their counterparts. But yeah, I would expect Monkeys to like pull some wins against some of the more evenly matched teams for them. And I think they might even get like, as Cole said, they might get 6th, 5th. And I would say if they play good enough and if they get used to this like playing in gold thing, they might even get like top 4 even,
Yeah, I agree.
in
It
my
was,
opinion.
I do think today's stream of Hawkthorne versus Rev will be a really great series to watch.
Yeah.
And with all of that said, we are gonna look at the last series of last week, which was Flippa United versus Revolution Gold. So I'm just gonna put my 2 cents in first. I'm just gonna talk about how Zygon or Potter had a KP of over 80% in these 2 games. Like, this player had a really good, really good showing in EDL season 1, and seeing them return and just do just as well, if not better than season 1. Like, I do think that, play around Zygon, watch, just, just like watch Zygon. Zygon will be just all over the map. He's making plays left and right. And I just think that this player could be the difference in the series. Like, if we're comparing junglers between Hawkthorne and Rev, I just think Zygon will just, wipe the game for his team. So that is why I guess 2-0 Rev that week. And, I think my money and my heart was in the right place. So let me just pull up what everyone else said. So Clutch, you said Flippa 2-0 last week, actually.
Yep.
So what do you think happened?
So, it's kind of like the Hyperion series. Actually, it is a lot like the Hyperion VBU series, where a player DC'd. Game 1, I mean, Adashawn, their ADC DC'd, which sucks. I mean, I heard they were kind of like in the lead. But happens, right? Like, you can't really, there's nothing you can do about that. And I'm not taking the win away from Revolution. They did play very good up against Flippy United, but there was a DC. However, Revolution, they played very well. And like you said, their jungler, Zygon, who is coming up from EDL, looked very solid in the first week. 81% KP, was on the map getting things done. Huge part of his team. And their mid laner, Unknown Angel, I think he played very insane. They have very strong mid jungle synergy between Zygon and Angel that can take them far in this league for sure. The support Tex was a sub. He's not on the well, he is on the roster, but he's not the starter. So we're probably going to see Sharpotter 6 playing today, which Sharpotter 6 is a very strong player. Also a very good shot caller. So that's going to help the team even more. Not necessarily saying Tex, is a bad player or anything. I think he played very, very good. But yeah, he is going to be out. Sharpotter will be in, so it's going to be interesting to see how they play with Sharpotter. But yeah, 2-0 against Flipping United, very impressive. I think Rev played very good. And Flipping United, uh, they've got some things to work on. I think after week 1, they were rated very high. Their bot lane, I will say, had 84% KP, both of them. So clearly, Flip United likes to play around their bot lane. I think Flip United play a little bit of a slower game. I don't think they're really a fast-paced team. So we'll see how Flip United is going to do up against VBU Krypton this week, because that is going to be the battle of like who we originally said were like second and third in the league. And they both lost week 1. And if you start 0-2 to the season, it's not a good look. So both teams are going to be looking for redemption. I think that's going to be a huge series for both of these teams. Definitely going to be one of the series that I wish I could have watched. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think Rev played a very solid game. And I'm looking forward to what they can bring this week against Hawkthorne Esports.
Yeah, and remember, they're on stream, so, guys, 8 p.m. Eastern, might want to tune in, see Hawkthorne and Rev duel it up. So, Sultan, I remember you had a very hot take. You said it was 3-0 for Flippa United.
Well, I still think they're Flip is a really great team. I think, like, as it happened to me this season when I was playing in BOL, sometimes those like DC, like losing a game because of a DC, might actually like sometimes affect the team's overall mental for that series. Like losing a game that you could have won, and like losing it just because of an internet connection or like a PC problem, goes into the second game, and then you just have that pressure of like, oh, if you lose one more, we're just gonna lose. That sometimes like um doesn't let teams to play their own play style. Like game 1, I think still Rev played a really decent game, but when you have your like ADC who has the main gold in your team DC, there's just like not much you can do. And then game 2, it was like jungle played really good. I think Rev played overall a really decent game. But like takes like what Burger Flip can take from this match is like, I think Ish played a really good second game. Uh, OH minus kind of lost to the Shopkeep in my opinion with that Frostfires and Zao build. But then
Oops, I moved the
uh
thing. My bad.
Wonderworld played, I
Wait.
guess you can say, decent, not much. He was up in CS, and like Adishan, although he was keeping up with CS, he went like 1-6, and like bot lane had a rough game too. But I think there's totally like hope for Burger Flip. Like going on. I think they're gonna like just bounce back this week and kind of get some momentum for the team moving on.
Yeah, yeah,
But like
and
Brev just played a really good series.
yeah,
Not to
I
take
agree
away
with
anything
you.
from them.
So, last but not least, we have the Matt Pizza. If you were to vote last week, who would you have said would win?
Um, I probably said Rev because BDN Zygon, right? Like I saw this guy, he did wonders in EDL season 1, so I have to back my boy up again. So, and then I mean, yeah, like he didn't let me down as well, right? Like he 2-0'd, and if you look at him, he's has 80% KP, and like it's just amazing, right? Like he's the one that's making plays for his team, um and his team plays around them. And like we did say that like his teams, they like to play around their jungler, so it's a unique play style that we see.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, we should probably start moving on to the games that we're gonna watch this week. So, if you guys saw the leak, it is Hyperion Origin versus Abyssal Sapphire. And Matt Pizza and I are Abyssal fans. I'm an Abyssal fan after week 1. You know, they pulled through for me. I'm still supporting. Sultan and Clutch, you two gassed 2-0 for Hyperion Origin this week. So, Sultan, I'll start with you. If he's here.
So
I
All
am
right.
dead.
here. No, no.
Oh, he's
Uh,
here. He's here.
no, I
Back to the dead.
muted, so like I thought it was decoing, so I was just like muting my mic. I think Harpoon is gonna win. I think they had a solid week 1. With like how they played overall as a team. Their top side was on point. Their bot lane was not doing too bad, and like against Abyssal, if you can like hold your ground against Abyssal soul lanes, which I think Hyperion should be more than able to. I think they're gonna have a really good time. Like Rune Mage against Golem. Golem is a really good player, but as far as I know, he was like a mid lane main, and his top lane champ pool might not be able to match Rune Mages. And Dracana has been like a powerhouse kind of mid laner, was known to like just consistently play good. And like Attila, although he's a really good bot lane, he's not usually your like 1v9 EDC player who's gonna like carry you through that like finish line. He's gonna be a consistent, decent performer, but I think Hyperion just has a better top side that is going to like help Attila to get just carry them over
Mm-hmm.
the line.
So, on the other side of the coin, Matt Pizza, you also guessed 2-1 for Abyssal Sapphire. So, what brought
Mhm.
you onto the, the cool side of the prediction?
So yeah, like I was moved, right? Like I saw James Moriarty just style in the previous game, right? Like this guy's quirky was insane. And I was just touched. I was like, this guy's quirky. Like if I was playing that, if I was playing against it, I don't know, man. I would have been really depressed. Like he
Would have
does
been really
so much
depressed.
damage, and it's like, yeah. And I think Abyssal Sapphire, right? Like their mid laner is like one of their key players. And that's not to say like the rest of their team isn't doing well. It just seems that they like to play through their mid, which it is like it's like Rev, right? It's a unique playstyle. Most teams like to play to bot, but having like a mid carry or like a top jungle carry, right? Like this leads to more unique playstyles, and so it'll be interesting to see if Hyperion will be able to come up with a counter to this more unique of a playstyle team. But I'm on the Bissell train just because James Moriarty just impressed me.
The Abyssal Train, right? So, Clutch, you said 2-0 for Hyperion. So, I'm gonna guess that your opinion's a little different from mine and Matt Pizza's.
So I'll agree with you, Matt Pizza. I think James Moriarty is an extremely good player. I think he impressed me week 1. I was like, wow, this guy's actually pretty good. Um, The only problem is he's going up against Dracana, who, yeah, you look at the stats and I'm not gonna lie, I just think Dracana will be able to neutralize him. And then if you're Abyssal and your star player, which is James Moriarty, not saying the other players aren't very good because I think they're good, but your star player clearly is James Moriarty. If he gets neutralized, where is the win con? Because no offense to Abyssal's top lane, okay? Because Golem, great player. Dead Shark, obviously, he went up against Psych. Now you're going up against, to me, is the second best top lane in the league, which is the Rune Mage. And I don't think it gets much easier. I mean, I don't think it's good. Like, I think if Rune and Psych went against each other, it would be pretty close. I think both these players are extremely talented. So now Abyssal, they're going to have the same thing as last week, where their top lane is going to probably not have the best of time. The only difference is they actually can neutralize your mid laner. And that's Hyperion. They have a mid lane that will just neutralize your win con. And then at that point, you're really looking towards your bot lane, but Bissell's bot lane didn't look all too great last week against BDEs. So this is where I think Hyperion has the edge over Abyssal. I just think that they don't have another win con besides their mid laner. I think their team altogether is very good at playing around their mid laner. They enable James Moriarty very well. But when James Moriarty is neutralized, it's like, I don't see another way that this team's going to win. And that's why I think Hyperion is going to take the 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Of course, neither team is on stream this week, but, like, just excited to see how these two kind of titans will go up against each other. Like, will it kind of lean into the Abyssal side or the Hyperion side, like in their mid lane matchup. So that will be interesting to see. So we'll move on to the next game of the week. So this match, this series is a little one-sided. So we're just gonna start from the bottom actually. So Sultan, you said 2-0 for Monkeys Rising.
So after last week, I think Monkeys just showed a really good performance in their week one, like pulling a game out of Hawkthorn, and BD losing to Abyssal, and like they just thinking that Riv is not coming back. He, I think, went over to be Flippa. I don't think BD is gonna like give a good time to Little Monkeys. I think they're gonna put up a decent fight. But if Monkeys can play as good as they did against Hawkthorn, I think they should be able to get away with a 2-0. And like this, it might be a 2-1, but I still think that Monkeys will just finish the series 2-0, like play to their win cons, just play like they've been playing in Silver for a split, and I think they should be able to get a win, especially how good their bot lane performed last week.
Yeah, I mean, I
Be
had
it.
the same prediction as you. I said 2-0 for Monkeys Rising because, like I said earlier, I do think that this team is starting to pick up momentum. Like, they, they're finding what works and they're kind of just like getting into the groove of the season. And I think this is like one of the weeks where they finally pull out like a nice 2-0, nice clean series. And yeah, I'm excited to see how this series will go. And it kind of depends if Psyche is also playing or not. So Clutch, you said 2-1 for Monkeys Rising.
Yeah, so Monkeys Rising from last week, I think taking a game off of Hawkthorn is a big statement. Like that is the first place team, and if you're able to take a game off the first place team, there obviously needs to be talks. How strong actually is Hawkthorn? Like, are they really the number one team? Are they a little overrated, or is Monkeys Rising actually better than we think? And I think it's the second one. I think Monkeys Rising is actually better than we think. I think that this team with time has high potential and can take down like take down some of these teams. And I think against Big Duck Entourage, this is a very big matchup. Now it's early in the season, but to me, this is really the battle for sixth. I think BDE, Abyssal, and Monkeys Rising are all battling for that last playoff spot. Because obviously 6 out of 8 teams make playoffs. 5 and 6 go to the losers bracket. So like this is the battle right here. And I think that Big Duck Entourage, if Psych is not playing, I don't know if he is or not. From what
Twitch
I've
chat
heard, he
tells
might
us
be.
that Psych is not playing.
Okay, so I think that Monkeys Rising should be able to win this. I think that it's going to be a very close series, just like the BDE Abyssal series. I think it's going to go down to the wire. But I think in the end, Monkeys Rising will be able to upset BDE. I think BDE has a very solid roster. Now they do have new faces coming in, which kind of doesn't. It's very hard to gauge where they're at. But I think these teams are very close in skill, and I think it's going to go 3 games, and it's going to be almost exactly like the BDE Abyssal series. And I think Monkeys Rising will take it in the end.
Yeah, and Matt Pizza, you're also on the Monkeys Rising train.
Mhm.
So if you want to put in your 2 cents there.
So I mean, yeah, like I think Monkeys Rising, right? Like they're a really good team. Like in EDL we saw Chinese Spy and Burn Nose. These the jungle mid synergy that these have is absolutely insane, right? And they're going up against I don't believe Poober this time. I believe it's a different mid laner for BDE, and then Swag. Now Swag's a pretty good gold jungler, right? He's been in the scene for a while, so he knows what he's doing. But with a different jungler, with a different mid, and not Poober, I think it's a bit of like a unknown factor, right? Like I'm not entirely sure what'll happen, but from knowing Chinese Spy and Birdnose, I do believe that they'll be able to pull ahead. Um, so I just think that Monkeys Rising just is a good team without, and BDE doesn't have Poober and Psych this time, which just impressed me last week. So I might have to put my vote for Monkeys Rising this week.
Yeah, I mean it will be really interesting to see. Like I said, Monkeys Rising, they are like growing at a really fast pace. And I think like if they're able to do well this series, I can imagine them just continuing to accelerate like throughout the rest of the season. But we will move on to the next series, which is Flippa United versus VBU Krypton. So it's looking a little mismatched again. Matt Pizza, you're kind of on the VBU side all alone over there. So why don't you explain what that is?
I mean, VBU Krypton. I'm a VBU fan. I've played for VBU since like my entrance into comp. So obviously I have to vote for our boys, right? Um,
Uh-huh.
whether or not they'll disappoint me, it's a whole nother story. But I think it's gonna be a full 3 game series. I think everyone agrees it's gonna be a
Yeah,
full
we
three
all
game
said it's a
series.
full 3 games, and I think both of the teams week 1 they had a DC. They used up all of their pause time and stuff. And it's like,
Hmm.
I want to see like especially for VBU. Um like I'm on the team of like Islamic Samurai, like I mentioned week 1. I do think, he knows macro, he knows what to do. Like once he gets familiar with his team, I think that he knows like how to shot call, how to draft. And I think one of the
Hmm.
problems that VBU had week 1 was like, Islamic Samurai, I think he's trying to step down from a leadership role. He wants to just kind of show up and play. And
Hmm.
like I have nothing against that, right? But I think without that kind of leadership and without someone like Islamic Samurai with his level of experience, like by the way, people, like this guy has won in a plat league, and like it just when you're leaving that kind of power just like sitting on the bench, I do think that puts VBU in a much weaker spot than they would be without him. But that is why my vote kind of went to Flippa, and Sultan and Clutch both agreed. So Sultan, this week you said 2-1 Flippa instead of 3-0 for Flippa. So
Um,
what happened to your faith?
um, normally I would say another 3-0, but I just gave that one game away because there might be another DC. So like another 3-0. A loss with a DC. I think Flippa should still be able to beat VBU 2-1. Um, I still think like I played with Samurai and Toxin on different teams, but they're like both really good players. I'm just like I don't think they as a team have played a lot with each other, and like thinking that Allfire has not been playing jungle for a long time. Uh Andrew Akblow, he's like a pretty good player. He can, if he gets the resources, if he gets ahead, he can be really dangerous. But It just comes down to how good they can play as a team, and I think Flippa, I think they've been playing together a little longer than VBU, and it's just I just think they're going to pull another win, and if they don't, next week, BFE is losing 3-0.
Ooh. The flip,
I'm
you
leaving the
know,
hype
your
train.
guys' biggest fan. He voted 3-0 for you guys in the first week, but you know, you guys are letting him down. So, Clutch, you said 2-1 for Flippa, you know, just like me and
Yep.
Sultan. You are on the Flippa train this week. So, why is that?
So yeah, after week 1, both these teams lost at 2-0. And obviously both teams are looking for redemption. If whoever loses this series to start 0-2, with the firepower on these rosters, we might see a mental boom and some roster changes because both these teams shouldn't have gone 0-1 the first week. Like realistically, they should have won. And with them losing, you're probably already like, okay, what's going on here? Second, now if you lose this week, you're now 0-2, and you're looking at like probably fourth or third, like if you win out. Um, and that still puts you in an unfavorable position. So I think that both these games are going to mean a lot to these teams. They're both going to come out swinging, which I think is why it's going to go to 3 games. And what I will say is that, um, for the side of VBU, top lane Akbalo, he's trying to do way too much. He tries to make too many plays on his map and ends up sacking his own lane, and it's ultimately a reason why they lose. Like, I'm not saying he's not a terrible player. I think he's extremely gifted, but he tries to take too many matters into his own hands, and it's clearly why you can see this guy is 71% KP as a top laner. Like, usually top laners have around like 50%, maybe 60 if they get lucky. 71 is a lot. Now you could be saying, all right, well, they just play around Akbalo. But they really don't. He tries to make too many plays and ends up like sacking his lane. And what he gets out of sacking his lane, it's not big enough for his team to end up like carrying him, because he sacked his lane. So I want to see Akbalo play more for lane, look to be that lane dominant carry that I know he can be. Um, and Socks and Thighs has to have a better week for me also. He did not show up last week, and I'm hoping he rebounds and shows that last week was a fluke. For the side of Flippa United, um, matchups, mid lane's going to be huge. Wonderworld versus Socks and Thighs also is another matchup that goes back a little bit. Should be very, very interesting to see. I think both mid laners kind of had an off week 1, so it's who's going to bounce back for week number 2. And obviously, Riv 60 is coming in for this week, completely new to the team. So we'll see how he is going to play. But in the end, I think Flippa United will take the 2-1. Um, just based off the fact that I just think VBU Krypton after week 1 is really gonna need something for week 2. They gotta change up their style or they're just gonna end up losing. But if I were to give odds for this series, I would say it's like 55% Flippa, 45% VBU. I think it's extremely close, and I could see it swinging anyway.
Yeah, I mean, everyone else on the desk today agrees with you. We all think it's gonna be a full 3-game series. You know, I think this would have been an interesting match to see on stream as well. But I don't know when we'll be seeing VBU or Flippo on stream. Probably next week. We'll have to see. I have to double check the schedule. But the last series we're going to look at for this week is the streamed match of the week.
Yes, the
I'm
banger.
personally on Team Hawkthorn, but I can see that 3 of you are on Team Rev. So I was on Team Rev week 1, but I was also on Team Hawkthorn week 1. So I guess like just putting in my quick thoughts. I think that Hawkthorn and Rev, I do think like everyone else, like this is going to be a really close and great series to watch. So I'm glad that this is the stream series of the week. But honestly, I could see this going both ways. I could see Hawkthorn pulling 2-1 or Rev coming in 2-1. It's just kind of who woke up on the better side of the on the right side of the bed today. So, you know, Hawkthorn, don't let me down, but at the same time, like, I'm not gonna be mad if you guys lose. Like, overall, like I said, like, Revolution's jungler, like, Potter or Zygon, like, powerhouse jungler, right? But Hawkthorn's bot lane, like, and like with their jungler too, like when their jungler was playing Rek'Sai, Matt Pizza and I saw, Caitlyn just gale forces in, what a great engage, and then like Rek'Sai like, flashes in, get the knock up, throwing all the tunnels just to go under tower. Like I could just see this series going either way. So it's really depends on who is more proactive earlier and who is able to get their team ahead earlier. And it's just gonna be like I think it's just going to be a really close series. So, Matt Pizza, I'm going to start on the bottom of the right side here. You said
Mhm.
2-1 for Revolution.
So I mean, yeah, like we all said, it's definitely gonna be a 3 game series, and these two teams are like really close, right? Like this is like this. I'm glad this is the streamed match because this is gonna be a really good game to watch. Because we saw how Hawkton likes to play. They like to play really aggressively. We have Caitlyn Gale forcing in. We have Caitlyn like never Gale forces out. She always Gale forces in. She's the one that's like, yeah, we're fighting here. I'm going in, and the rest of the team is just like, oh, okay, we gotta help our ADC. And the jungle is like 2, 3 steps above her, right? The jungle's like, I'm going in. Caitlyn, you better follow me. And then Caitlyn's like, oh no. So after that, like after those few matches that I saw from Hawkthorn, I do think they're a really aggressive team to play. But that also has its downsides, right? Like they played too aggressively. And I think Rev will be able to make use of those like oversteps, right? They'll be overextended, and Rev will be able to see that and take advantage of it. I do think for the side of Rev, their bot lane is like a key point. Their bot and jungle, because from what we've seen, Hawkton likes to play have their bot and jungle just dive tier 1. So I think if Rev is in the proper position, if the jungler is bot side and able to counter gank that Rev will be able to get a lead. But again, both of these teams, it's gonna be a banger stream to watch.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's, I don't, okay. If I lived in a perfect world as the production and as the person who streams the matches for both EDL and EGL, I would love it if you guys just like if any team just 2-0'd, like I don't even care who wins at that point anymore. Um
She wants out.
you can ask any of the casters when I'm producing. I'm just like every intermission screen I'm like, "Yo, can this just be a 2-0? Like I want to go to
Yeah,
bed."
it's true. It's true. I can confirm.
But, for the sake of like actually putting in my predictions, I do think it's going to be a 2-1. Like Sultan, you said 2-1 for Rev as well. Are you on the same page as Matt Pizza here?
Hmm. Kinda, yeah. I just think Rev taking like Burger Flip down like 2-0, although they had a DC, they played decent, and Hawkthorn just dropping a game that was like we didn't expect too much out of Monkeys, but they still pulled a win, and the win that they pulled was like convincing. So I'm expecting Rev to like put up a better fight than Monkeys, and that might just be enough to just beat Hawkthorn. But in the end, if Hawkthorn gets to play their fight play style and get away with it, it's gonna be a really rough series for Rev to pull out 2-2.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a super close series. So, again, make sure you guys tune in. We do upload the VODs. The VODs stay on the Twitch channel for I think 2 weeks. But there is a YouTube channel. Links in the in the about us. It's also in the announcement somewhere. So, Clutch, you said 2-1 for Revolution as well. Anything else to
Yep.
add?
So this series, uh, obviously, another good series this week to stream would be Flippa versus VBU. I think that would be a really good series to stream too. But this one, I think, is going to be like if you want something entertaining instead of like just very slow, very calculated, a League of Legends, this is your series because Hawthorne will go at you, like we said. They don't care what the situation is, they're taking it to you. And Revolution, they're not just gonna sit there and take it. They'll you want to skill check us? We'll go, all right, let's skill check. They are the team that will opt into the skill checking. And that's what when that happens, you get some pretty bloody series. And I think this series, there's going to be so many fights, so many skirmishes. Both teams are going to be looking to go punch for punch, and it's going to be very, very entertaining. Um, reason I put Revolution, and I think this is going to be my upset because I actually do think Hawthorne is favored for me here. I think Revolution is going to upset them. I think Hawthorne is going to go a little too aggressive, and Revolution is going to be able to combat that aggressiveness and take them down. Because against MIT, yes, Monkeys Rising, yes, was able to combat that aggressiveness. They were able to be like, hey, listen, you can't just go aggressive and int. Like, we're going to punish you. You do that against a better team, Revolution Esports, who I think are, we can all say Revolution, I think, is better than Monkeys Rising. I think they're going to get punished even more. And I think that's what's going to take Rev giving them the 2-1 victory. However, I'm still hyped for this series. Like, I don't really care who wins, dude. I'm so ready to just see these teams duke it out. I'm just ready to see some bloodbaths. Give me the like double TPs in the bot lane at 5 minutes. I want these teams to just go at it because I honestly think that's what's going to happen. Both these teams won't back down from a fight, and it should be a very, very entertaining series. Definitely one that you want to watch if you are going to watch any stream this season. This is the one you want to watch because it will be the most entertaining.
True. And with that, I think that is all the time we have for today. Um, I'm going to leave a little bit of time. So Zell, he, MVP of the content team. Dude made a very nice video that I'm going to leave you guys off with before we sign off today. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully, if you guys can, tune in 8 p.m. Eastern today to watch Hawthorne Esports versus Revolution Gold. We'll hopefully see you guys there. But, I'm going to leave you guys off with this very nice video. Thank you and shout out to Zell for making it. So, thanks again for watching. Hopefully, we'll see you guys there.